Good afternoon, everybody. You have landed at the UAS booth. UAS are celebrating their 25th anniversary, and I'm very proud to be introducing a panel today, and we're going to talk about associations, your association working for you. So, to start with, I'd like to introduce Keith McKay. He's representing the Irish Business General Aviation Association. Antonia Gilbert, Austrian Business Aviation Association. Lindsey Oliver, the British Business General Aviation Association. And finally, Kurt, who brings them all together, Director General of IBAC. Many of you will know. So I'm going to kick off a question, and the question is, highlight the biggest challenges you are facing at your association. I'm going to start with Lindsey, please.
So I could take this list quite long, but I'm not going to. I'm going to just pick out a couple which are really important to us right now. And I would guess the first headline would be, how do we engage with our lobbyists more effectively? So last year we had a change in government. A new Labour government came with a new transportation team, new civil servant team. Some were carried over from the one before, but most of the team that we're working with are new people. And the challenges that we're facing in terms of how is this affecting us mostly at the moment is introducing business aviation in a positive way to a new civil servant who are feeding into the government making policy. And that's a huge challenge. And it's a constant revolving door of people that we're having to deal with. But if you go into the granular detail of what that means, we're talking about changes in security, changes in border force regulation, changes in the way our industry is perceived. So, yeah, it's a huge challenge. Takes up probably 60% of the work that we do, I would say.
Okay. And Antonia.
Yeah, I'm sure everyone knows that the environmental debate is a big one. There are plenty of regulations out there. The big challenge here is that these regulations, whether it is Refuel EU, ETS, are very difficult to adhere to for small and medium enterprises. So the sheer administrational effort for the companies in Austria, not just in Austria, I'm sure Europe-wide, is a very big challenge. We work together with EBAA to raise those concerns, raise those problems. That's a bit of a battle.
Yeah, I think that's what you've mentioned here is what all the associations are struggling with. Keith, over to you. What keeps you awake at night in Ireland?
Well, I think, like Lindsey has said, it is the perception of business aviation at the minute, trying to promote the value of business aviation in many walks of life. And also its link to, for example, luxury travel and the benefits of that as well. We had an interesting challenge at Dublin Airport back in 2022, I think it was, when the Dublin Airport put a cap on the number of flights that were allowed to use the airport. So by working together with the EBAA and the MBAA, we were able to lobby basically the airport, also the American Embassy as well, highlighting the link of the connection between Ireland, both north and south, and America. And that in itself then helped us to get that cap reduced, and from there we were able to get the cap lifted.
Yeah, that was a really good decision. And that's actually a good segue over to Kurt, because you've just had your IBAC meeting. And again, the thorny situation of business aviation being pushed out at airports has picked up. But you've got all your associations together. What's been the theme of your conference which was held yesterday? Well, not conference, but gathering.
Well, thank you, Alison. Yesterday was our board meeting. So we have our board meeting here at EBACE and another one at BACE, so twice a year. and we were going over some important issues to us right now. Coming up this summer, or at the end of the summer in September, will be the triennial ICAO assembly. So as the Global Aviation or Business Aviation Association, we represent the industry at the United Nations International Civil Aviation Organization. And one of our biggest challenges there is explaining what business aviation is to a group of people that know very well what scheduled commercial air transport is. And they don't necessarily have that level of familiarity with the business aviation world. So because people turn over at the council, because people turn over in the commission, we are constantly re-explaining to people and seeking to bring them in and help better understand the diversity of the models and types of operations that business aviation has. So that's really kind of what we're focused on coming up, especially this fall.
Yeah, and it's great that you were able to get so many national associations together at IBAC. You've had representatives from the Middle East, Africa. Africa has a new chair, which is good to see. Okay. To all of you, question. Maybe I'll ask Lindsey to start. How do you keep close to your membership? It's always successful association, two-way street. What's your...
I think you start from the top, and we're very lucky at the BBGA that we have a really, really agile board. So the leadership of BBGA is made up of board members from all different parts of the industry within the UK. But in taking that role on, they are responsible for being very two-way street. So there is work for them to do, and they have to be very engaged with the BBGA and the leadership of BBGA. And that also means going out and talking to members, non-members, industry, trade events and whatnot. So in my time at BBGA, I've seen the board grow into a very, very agile group of people. We have 4 board meetings a year, which sounds pretty standard, but actually we're talking on Teams regularly. We have a chat going that is open most weeks. We're sharing ideas. We're talking about what's happening in different parts. If there's a non-member that's been identified, somebody will be sent out to go talk to them. So yeah, the board is extremely agile, very proud of that. So that's one part. And then you'd go down a level and we're talking about how do we look outwardly to the industry? So we make sure we're at events. We have a presence at most of the large events, I would say, in the UK. But our premier BBGA event that we hold in March is our annual conference and AGM. We get upwards of around about 140 delegates there. And these are senior people within the industry. And that's a really important event. But that's very heavy business and that's necessary. But we all need downtime too. So we have a couple of events in the year, which is purely networking and drinks and canapes, an opportunity to relax but have a chat, catch up with colleagues. The most popular one, I would say, is the House of Commons reception, which by the name suggests it's a great opportunity to go into the House of Commons, see the real history of London. We run that during Farnborough Air Show Week, so it's a great time for our members to bring their clients and guests in that have flown over to the UK for the show, and they can come to the House of Commons, they can have a look round, and it's a great thing to do, really, and that's always very popular. Then we have a Christmas event, which we always thought we should give it a more fancy name, but actually calling it Christmas Networking and Drinks does the job. Everybody knows what they're signing up to, and that just gets bigger and bigger every year. It's 2.5 hours of drinks and canapes. People go off and have dinner afterwards, but it's really, really popular and a great time for everyone to come together, have a chat about the industry, what's going on, share some client knowledge, have a drink. Job done, really. It's great.
Yeah. And I can testify that the BBJ events are always very successful. I'm on the board too and bring the marketing and media skills too. Antonia, what about you? How do you keep close to your members?
I could make it really easy now and say all of the above or all what Lindsey said, because they're obviously a big role model for our association and how we do things. The ABA was reformed in 2016, and we very consciously decided to form a board of 8 members that, as Lindsey also said, is rooted in the different sectors of the industry. So we've got someone on the board with an operator, someone on the board working for an FBO, insurance, a lawyer, an aircraft sales broker, someone in concierge and aircraft management. So with that diverse picture on the board, you get constant feedback from the different sectors of the industry, and it's very easy to gauge what do your members want from you. So in addition to all the events, we also have 3 big events per year, one in the western parts of Austria to also cater for the regions, and 2 in Vienna. Our biggest one is also the Christmas members get together. It doesn't need a fancy name for people to come. The association has grown from, I believe it was 39 members before I joined the board in 2021 to now nearly 80 member companies that are directly linked to business aviation. And what else do we do? We've launched a new event series called Aviation Breakfasts. They take place from 8 to 10 in the morning. It provides a better way of people not spending their evenings somewhere else away from the family. We found that it requires educational content, so we invite a speaker. It's a very family-like atmosphere. There's usually around 35 to 45 people attending, and they can learn something, they can network, they can have breakfast, and afterwards they go off to work. So that has been a great initiative.
That's good. Keith, what do you do in Ireland?
Well, again, I have to echo what Antonia and Lindsey have said. Our association is a small association. We've been established now, I think, for about 5, 6 years now. We're coming into our 5th annual conference this year in November. Again, not a huge conference. We like the niche conferences. I think last year we had about maybe 150 attended. The first year we hosted the event in the beautiful Adair Manor, which will be hosting the Ryder Cup in, I think, 2 years' time. As you can appreciate, very expensive to run. So the hard work had to start and get out and reach out to everybody. For sponsorship, naturally. But we worked hard, we got there, and thankfully since then we've had such good publicity, a lot of traction on social media, etc., and people do look forward now to coming to our event. This year we are considering maybe a pre-evening event at Dublin Weston Airport, which would be a mostly suitable airport for GA and business aviation, although it has some limitations at the minute which need to be corrected. And last year we hosted a golf day after the conference, which was popular. I think we had about 16 players or something. So a good cure for a hangover after being out. But we also host an after-dinner meal with traditional Irish music as well. So you have to appreciate Ireland's not a big place. We haven't a huge amount of members, although that is increasing. What we are trying to do, and I mentioned it earlier, is show that link between luxury travel, and there's a huge volume of Americans will come to Ireland for mainly the golf tourism. This year, for example, in my part of the world, Northern Ireland, which is obviously in the United Kingdom, we're hosting the British Open Golf, which is going to be huge for Belfast, for a small town on the northeast of Northern Ireland. We have the Ryder Cup coming in a couple of years. A lot of the Game of Thrones series were filmed in Ireland. So there's that interest from all over the world. And there are a lot of wealthy people come in and pay a lot of money to play golf all over Ireland. But it's just trying to get that connection between the luxury tourism. And that's what we're trying to get on board, because we do appreciate that there's not a huge amount of operators in Ireland that we can reach out to. But of course, Ireland was originally, perhaps you could still argue is the leasing capital of the world, with about 60-70% of the world's commercial aircraft at least registered out of a part of Dublin. So there's that rich aviation history as well. But I'll not say it's easy, but we do the best we can, and getting out there and getting our conference out there, that's the main goal.
And Kurt, you bring all the associations together. So you have the challenge of time zones and connecting with everybody. How does your calendar look in terms of getting all your associations and all your members together? Because you have a very important part to play in the industry.
It's a challenge for sure. I mean, we have members, when we do virtual board meetings, we have people on the west coast of North America all the way to the very east coast of Australia. So we might be starting at 6 p.m. or 6 a.m. in Vancouver, and it's 11 p.m. in Sydney. So that's tough for people. And the folks who are at the extremes, they get gold stars as far as we're concerned. I mean, our membership is a little bit different in that we are a federation of associations. So the social interaction, which I know helps build that spirit, it's a little bit more challenging for us to do. So if we can do something around a show, we do it. We will have, for example, tomorrow afternoon, a recognition event for the participants in the ISBAO and the ISBA programs, which I think is quite important. And all the member associations are invited. But, the member associations are members of IBAC because they want to have a voice at ICAO. They want to make that impact. And that's very important. So I'm constantly reaching out and asking kind of, what should we be doing? How do you want us to work on this? Or sending out information on issues we are working on to get their input. So it's a back and forth thing. In addition, we've also now, to build kind of our expertise and the breadth of expertise, we've formed something called the Industry Partner Program, where companies and organizations that want to directly support our mission can join us. And at both EBACE and BACE, the two biggest shows for the industry, we get the partners together through what's called an industry advisory forum that will meet later this week, and then we'll have the international dinner after it. And for us, it's a wonderful opportunity to learn from the industry, but also share with them what it is we're doing. And it's a check-in. Are we working on the right things and making sure that we're addressing the issues most important to them? We also use this as a way to bring people to ICAO because, as far as I'm concerned, having representation at these international meetings is important. And when a delegation at ICAO sees that someone, let's take the Indians, for example, they see that the head of the Business Aviation Association in India has gone all the way to Montreal for the assembly, it makes an impression. And that's at least half the job right there in terms of working with the government.
Yeah, that's excellent. I'd like to turn to another topic because we're all facing it in the industry, and that is workforce. It's featured on, I think, everyone's agenda in terms of conferences. But your membership, do they come to you and talk about workforce issues? Is there sort of best practice you can share? The big thing is trying to get young people engaged in aviation. Can I turn to you, Lindsey, because as an association, you've actually been able to get out and discover organizations that maybe are looking to get established in business aviation.
Yeah, we work really hard in that space, actually. And I would say there's two ways of looking, two strands of thought on this subject. You have people that have never heard of business aviation or careers in aviation at all, and you're trying to switch those onto it. And then you've got the people that are already switched onto aviation, but only think there's a career in scheduled. And you're trying to switch both those groups of people on. Now, there are associations such as the Royal Aero Society who really aim at primary school level, and they do the Build a Plane project, and they do some really good outreach stuff at younger children. And we try and pick them up at the vocational and the higher education stage. So there are a couple of excellent, absolutely outstanding technical colleges in the UK that provide education to apprenticeships and feed into staffing at certain airports. Stansted College is excellent. And I had a really, really good visit recently with Blackpool College, unbelievably, who are also reaching out into that space. And they are really doing well at picking up 16 plus. So vocational courses for young people that are looking to go into aviation. And then I jump in and say, do you know what business aviation is? And there are careers in business aviation. So we're really pleased with that. But the other stage of work is when you're talking to people who are already partway through their training to a career into aviation, and you're turning them or introducing them to business aviation as part of that. So we have worked with 3 universities, University of West London, Cranfield and City University, who provide master's courses for air transport. So these are seriously clever people, you know. And quite often they're also attracting students who are partway through their careers and they've come back in to do some training as part of their career progression. And we have gone in as a trade association and offered a 3-day lecture series. So we discuss with the university in advance the areas that they think we should cover and what we think should be delivered. And, you know, they've had 9 months prior to us arriving talking about scheduled aviation and the world of air transport. And then we go in there, talk about charter, FBOs, regulation, helicopters, you know, all that sort of space, lawyers, how do we onboard aircraft, that sort of thing. And it opens up a massively new discussion as to what they've been exposed to so far. And what we're really delighted about is that the lecture series that we provided to date have been elective. So you can choose, if you're doing a master's course, you don't have to be doing it. It's elective. We can do it for your extra knowledge and then you can do a dissertation on it. But City University this year, we're so pleased with what we've done previously. So they've now included our lecture series as a compulsory element of the master's qualification. And there was an exam and there was coursework. Thankfully, I didn't have to mark it because I would have felt terrible being responsible for that. But yeah, really pleased with the work that we're doing there and the vocational stuff at technical college level.
Excellent. Any contribution you want to make, Keith or Andrea, to it?
So we've just this year started contributing to the educational field with 2 scholarships to 2 separate schools that are aviation related. So Lindsey mentioned those 2 strands of students or people that we need to reach out to. We focus on the second one. So people that are already aviation passionate, aviation interested, and have gone down a path that says, I want to work in aviation. And a fun fact about these students in those 2 schools is that 98% of all internships that are placed are not in business aviation, and not because it wouldn't be possible, but just because they don't know about the industry. So I hope that these scholarships that we contribute will provide a way into business aviation. So the only condition for receiving it is that you perform well on a project, and then you have to do your internship in business aviation.
And Keith, you've got your the future skills, and they're actually going to have a new vertiport, aren't they, at the Shannon Airport? You work quite closely with them at the IBGAA.
Yes, that's correct. More to the point, into relating or to trying to get more and more young folk into the industry. Our conference actually took a great pride in having 2 students from, I think it was a college in Limerick, attend last year. Huge passion for aviation, but again, it was the aviation, the commercial side of things. They attended and thought, wow, this is interesting. We invited them to stay for the dinner, and one of my board members suggested that the 2 students go round to every attendee of the dinner and get a business card and go back to them in 5 years and ask them potentially for work, in the future. But I also have to give credit to Lindsey and the BBGA because, again, their social media recently has been great in educating youngsters that business aviation, it's so broad, from charter to FBO sales to refueling to legal. It's great and a great credit, and I have reposted it. The IBGA have reposted a lot of the things too. So yes, it's something the IBGA took pride in, that we were able to get some attendees from the students from a local college, and hopefully that has greatened their interest to a career in business aviation.
I'm going to come on to my next topic now, which is very topical and has been for several years, which is public perception. We've had some news, actually, this show, which is the rollout of Climbing Fast internationally, which started with NBAA. It's now been adopted by IBAC to move the program forward. Kurt, do you want to tell us about Climbing Fast?
If you haven't seen it yet, Climbing Fast is a campaign to provide information about what is business aviation and what are its benefits. And it's what I call the 3 pillars of sustainability: economic benefits, societal benefits, and environmental commitment. And NBAA and a group of associations put this forward in the United States mainly to help 2 audiences. The first were policymakers, and second was the industry itself. Industry could go to this website, get their arguments, get their facts, get their details and data, and use those to work with policymakers, just like policymakers could go there and find this information as well. But when you went to the website, reasonably expected, it had, a photo of the U.S. Capitol and the American flag, and that's not something that is really going to resound with the international audience. And we're all around the world facing the same challenges. So we've put together now an international-facing page for Climbing Fast. It will feature stories, anecdotes, data from around the world. And it provides a section for governments to look at. What can states do, especially on the environmental sustainability commitment, environmental issues? What can states do in this space? And then for the industry too, it'll provide information to them for their use with their local communities, with their national governments. It's meant to serve that same purpose, but for a broader audience, especially outside of the United States.
And BBJ, you've just signed up to Climbing Fast. What are you going to do with the platform?
Yeah, we're really excited about joining Climbing Fast, and it's something that we were talking about at BBGA for quite some time now, because we needed a place we could signpost our policymakers to, and Kurt's picked up on this point already. But in the UK, I would say confidently, we're under more scrutiny than most when it comes to sustainability. And we wanted to be able to house the stories, the data, the factoids, the opportunities that come up in a place that we can signpost people to that's not on the BBGA website. We have those places anyway, have those stories anyway, but we wanted them all in a single place. And it was mentioned to me a couple of days ago, the analogy of Climbing Fast being the house, and every national trade association can have a room in that house. So we've got a UK room with all those UK stories on, and we can link to the international, we can link to Canada, we can link to America. So I'm really excited about the future of Climbing Fast. I think it's another tool in our toolbox when we're defending ourselves, which we often find ourselves doing. So yeah, really pleased.
Yeah. And I guess the next question, Austria and Ireland. I feel like I'm in the Eurovision Song Contest now. They could join too, potentially.
Are we going to sing?
Yeah. Well, we won, right? Just to say. No, I think it's a great initiative, and it's a great way of funneling state facts. And everyone's done this on a national level. EBAA has done it, IBAC has done it, NBAA has done it. So it's a great way of summarizing everything all together and creating one message. And that's really important with changing this perception, is we all need to speak the same language and convey the same message and the same facts. We have done something on the national level. We work very closely with the Aviation Industry Austria, which is the overall association for aviation in Austria. So airlines, cargo airlines, airports, manufacturers are all in this association. And due to the size of our country, I think we're in a very special situation in Europe. Not every country can do that, but we're quite friendly with that association. They put forward our agenda to political stakeholders. And we've created a manifesto together that we've presented to the political parties before the government was formed. And we have fine-tuned it and have represented it now to the government. So this is something that we have done to change the perception among political stakeholders as well.
And Keith, you actually have an open door. You talked about the support you have with all your beautiful hotels and castles. And if anybody hasn't been to the Irish Business Aviation Conference, it's actually rather different in that you do rub shoulders with Ashford Castle and beautiful concierges. So you're actually in a good position. And of course, you've got the Ryder Cup. I mean, that would be fantastic. Rory McIlroy. I mean, he's just moved back to the UK, if anybody didn't know that. But what a great ambassador for business aviation. He won his jacket, didn't he? And he does fly and own a Gulfstream G650. So that's good opportunity for you, for sure.
Oh, I mean, this year for Ireland, more so Northern Ireland with the British Open, which I've touched on before, coming is going to be huge. It's even bigger now with a wee guy from, interestingly, a wee village called Hollywood, just outside of Belfast City Airport. To be the US Masters champion is huge, even just for Northern Ireland itself. Great for Ireland, great for golf in general. And great for business aviation as well, because think about all those wealthy Americans that will come and bring a lot of investment to Ireland in general just to play 18 holes of golf. It's huge. So we as an association have really seen the link, and we are trying to encourage these luxury tour operators, these luxury hotel chains, to come and visit a business aviation conference, see the link, and indeed some of them have. Representatives for Adair Manor were here ahead of our conference. They right away saw the link, realised there's a lot of people here we could do business with. And myself, coming from Northern Ireland, I'm very keen to bring business representatives from Northern Ireland, because Northern Ireland is very unique in the sense that we're in Europe, while also in the United Kingdom. So the business potentials for business aviation could be huge. But again, it's getting these people to understand these links as well. So the IBGA, we see the bigger picture, and we're trying our hardest to attract those companies and businesses that may not see the link with business aviation and their own companies.
Brilliant. Okay. Well, I'll have to draw this to a close, but it's fantastic to have the association village here for the first time at EBAA. And it does seem to me that they can all get together and work together and share best practices. I think the associations, as Holger said yesterday, have really got a lot to contribute in business aviation. Thank you so much. I'm Alison Chambers, Emerald Media. We work with UAS, we work with BBGA, we work with IBGA. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.